Hi everyone, it's Tammy at Frou-frou Studio. Welcome back. Today I'm going to do my next make in the Relax, Revisit, Remake series that I have been working on this year. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do, and I watched a video yesterday by My Scattered Brain, and she did a matchbook out of a snippet roll, and it reminded me that I had a matchbook in my prototype journal, and so I thought I would revisit that today and show you how I make those. And mine have a little bit of a twist, and they're a little bit fiddly, but I love the way that they come out. So, here's what we're going to do. Here's one that I've already made. Now, I put a Velcro closure on mine, but you can, do the tuck under like a regular matchbook. But because of what I have on the inside, I just did this little Velcro. So when you open it up, this is what you see. There's a little notebook in the back, and then there's this little kind of 3D pop-up that kind of decorates it. So normally a matchbook would be like this, right? Well, I just flipped it over so that I could use my little spine here to put my little 3D pop-up in. So, like I said, I have a prototype. I'm going to give you all the measurements, and then we'll make one, and I'll show you how I put it together. So, the first thing you're going to need is some cardstock. Preferably two sides, unless you want your inside to be just blank, and preferably something that at least on one side is non-directional. This one you can see is directional on this side, but it just has a pattern on the inside, so it worked just fine. But you want something, unless you don't care that this inside part is upside down, then it wouldn't matter. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is do some cutting and a little bit of scoring, nothing too hard. You want your cardstock to be 2 inches wide by 6 inches long, and then you're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch from one side. So you're going to do a 3/4 inch score, and then you're going to do a 3.5 inch score to get your little top score, and then you're going to move over 1 tick or 1/4 of an inch and score again, and that will give you the little spine that you need. Okay, so again, 2 inches by 6 inches. You're going to score at 3/4 of an inch, at 3.5 inch, and then come in 1 tick and score again. Alright, and then I rounded these top corners so that when it flips over, it has a nice finish here. Alright, so I have already cut my piece, and this is a Tim Holtz piece, and you can see it is not really directional on either side. I mean, it's got ABCs on this side, and then it's got a pattern on the inside, and I have scored it and folded it, just like my little template. Alright, So that's going to be our outside cover. The next thing you're going to need is a piece of scrapbook paper, or you can do this out of regular paper. Usually regular paper is plenty strong enough. And you're going to just do like an accordion fold back and forth. You want your back piece to be up, and you want to fold it so that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 flaps. Your back piece is going to be up, and your front piece is going to be up. So that's what you end up with, just a little accordion fold. And it doesn't matter. I think I folded these. These ended up being like a 1/2 inch, but you can do smaller if you want to. This is not important. What's important is that you get, you know, this number of folds if you are going to do it like I'm doing it. All right. So then you're going to take your back piece and you're going to glue it to the back of your matchbook, the back flap. And I want to measure my notebook and make sure that it's going to fit. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take some glue and run along this one and glue it down. Haven't used my glue yet this morning. So I hope everyone is having a good start to your week. It's Monday, and it's going to be a blah Monday here. It's going to rain, but we need it, I guess. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. So I'm going to glue this right above my score line. Hold it down for just a second. I'm looking for my little wipey rag here so I can get my excess glue off there. And then your front piece is going to be glued here. And that's what's going to give you your little sections to glue everything in. But before you do that, you want to flip it over and you want to glue these two pieces together and these two pieces together. So we're going to glue here. And glue that to that. And then we're going to glue here. And glue that to that. Being a very messy gluer today. And then, like I said, you're going to take this front one and you're going to glue it to the other side, to the other flap. Outside cover. All right. So then you can see that fits down nicely in that spine. Now, if you want it to flip open like a regular matchbook, then you could also put a spine in here. And you could put your, what I just glued in down here at the bottom. But I just thought it worked better this way. Okay, now once that's all glued in, this is what you have. So you have your front and back glued in, and then you have 2 flaps that you can work with. All right. So now we're going to start creating our 3D effect. And for that, I have some little bits and bobs here. These little teeny Tim Holtz people work great on this. So they're going to go in the front. So I'm going to glue those in. And you can go from the back to the front or front to the back. It doesn't matter. Hold that for just a second. Make sure you don't get your glue too high, so you stick all your pieces together. And then I have some little flowers that I'm going to put right here beside them. Make sure you don't get down in your crease. And you can use whatever kind of teeny tiny little pieces of ephemera you have. If you don't want to do people and flowers and butterflies, you can do little, just little pieces of ephemera. Like these little pieces from Tim Holtz or whatever you want to use to decorate. Now on the second one, I want to put this butterfly, but I want it to be raised up enough that I can see it. And I want to make sure you're not going over your edges. So I cut a little strip from a piece of scrapbook paper, or cardstock rather, so that I'd have an anchor. So I'm going to glue that on, and then I can judge where I want my butterfly to be. So I'm just going to tack it on there. So basically I'm just giving it like a handle. Now on the other one that I did, where did it go? Here. I didn't have to do that because I put the butterfly in the front. So it really just matters, where you're going to put things. So now I can judge how high I want my butterfly and make sure that it's not going to be in the way. And I'm going to glue the butterfly to the second little tab. So I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of this little piece of scrapbook paper. And then glue it where I want it. Make sure I'm not over the edge. About right there, I think. Okay, and then for my back area, I'm going to take these flowers and I'm going to take this circle just because I want to. I'm going to ink it up. And then I want my flowers to be on the back side of that one, and I want them raised up enough. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this circle and glue it on the back. Again, I want to make sure when I'm gluing it that I'm not gluing it. Actually, I want to glue the flowers to this first. So, like I said, this can get a little bit fiddly, but just work with it until you get everything where you want it. Alright, so I want my flowers to be about right there. And part of the reason I'm using the circle on this one is these flowers are really delicate. And so I wanted to give a little bit of stability to them. If you have something that's sturdier, then you wouldn't necessarily have to put the circle. Get my glue off here. And measure my flowers. Make sure they're not, I may want them on this side, actually. I think I want them right there. So then I can glue my circle to the back of the second flap. Right there. Okay, so there's our little 3D pop-up. And then I just made a little notebook, and it's just got some little scrap pieces of paper. No big deal. And then I used my tiny attacher and just scrap piece on the back, and I'm going to glue it. And I'm going to put it right here in the back. Again, you want to make sure you're not going up into your flap seam. And then I'm going to take this little stamp, put my pin in my glue for a minute. And get my potting soil, I think is what I want to use. And just stamp the word note right here. And I still need to clean my stamping block off. And then you can choose to decorate this part of it, and I'm going to do a little bit of decoration there. I started to say, do you guys see the lid to that? But I see it now. So I have some old German text. And this is another great scrap buster, because how many times do we have those little strips of paper, you know, that are a couple inches wide, and don't want to throw them away because they're big enough to use, and then we end up accumulating a ton of them. Okay, and then I have a couple of little just Tim Holtz pieces from his little ephemera kit. Put one there. There. And there we go. And now we're going to ink around the whole thing. Now, normally I would put the Velcro. Oh, look, see? I did exactly what I told you guys not to do. I got my flowers too high. But that's okay. We're just going to snip them off and they'll be just fine. Okay, now we're good. I couldn't find my Velcro closures really quickly today, so I'm not going to do that today, but you can definitely use a Velcro closure. You can use a little magnet if you want to. If you're doing it, you know, the original way of a matchbook cover, you could just make it where your flap fits up under the other part, like a, you know, like a real matchbook cover. You could make a little twisty kind of thing. Those flowers are sticking over just a tad on the side as well. yeah, whatever you want to do for your closure is a-okay. But if you want to, want it to look like a real matchbook, then you would make it so that, that front fits under there. And I could still do that. I could put, just like that. And I could put a couple staples right there. I just want to be sure not to staple my no, that would be hard on this if you're going to do that, because if you staple it right here, then your little 3D piece is going to be, I mean, you can make it fit under there, but I think it works a lot better with just the Velcro. So when I find my Velcro, which I know is around here somewhere, then I'll put a little Velcro closure like that one. It just makes it a lot easier. So there you go. There's the little matchbook notebook with a twist. I think that's really cute. And like I said, you could do whatever kind of decorating right here that you wanted to do. You wouldn't have to do flowers and butterflies. Just something to give it a little bit of character when you open it up, and give it a little bit of a surprise. And it will pop up if you set it down. It does pop out, which is kind of cute. So let me know what you guys think about that. Tag me if you make one, so I can see what your ideas were for it. Photos would also be cute if you wanted to use, I know Tim Holtz has some of those real little bitty photos. That would be cute to do as well. And again, minimal tools, minimal supplies. So I think everyone should have stuff accumulated that they can use. So, shout out to my scattered brain for reminding me that I had this in my stash. You kind of saved me for the day for what I was going to do for this video. So I appreciate that. And your grungy journal is coming along just fine. I love the book cover you have chosen. And I look forward to seeing what the rest of your journal is going to look like. So that's it for today, guys, and I will be back probably tomorrow working back in the grungy journal. And then, of course, Thursday is I Saw It on Pinterest. So everybody have a good Monday, and I will see you back then. Bye.